I want to talk you through the sales cycle for an automation agency because it is quite different to kind of other elements. I mean, don't get me wrong, the first step is still find some leads. But you want to kind of identify which industries would benefit most from these automations. Don't get me wrong, it's all of them. We've worked with tequila companies through to bin bag liners. Um, like you can do anything, and automation plays a key role in all of these places. And every single business that's worth its salt is looking at how they can automate these processes, like all of them. Hello, my name is Daniel Spence, and I run Automation X, which is an automation agency that builds really cool automations and lead generation. Yeah, so I mean, I've done many videos on how to find the perfect leads. There's a whole entire module on it. But just overview, you need to get a lead and get them booked in for a call. We tend not to do any of the kind of sales over email. Don't get me wrong, it works every now and then, but we prefer to do it this way. So the next step is the kind of initial small talk. It's normally building rapport. I kind of like just sit and chit chat with them for the first 10-15 minutes. Normally, with being based in the UK, it's to complain about how crap the weather is and how it's grey and miserable and so on. But it's just kind of the initial bit to show that you're a human and have some kind of initial conversation. It builds a lot of trust as well, and people kind of like relate to you and want to talk to you. Yeah, then it's kind of like I'm normally doing this on Zoom, so I get people booked in for a Zoom call and do it through there. The next step is understanding their business. So this is where really you start actually selling automations. This is possibly my favorite part of this business because I get to actually sit and quiz people on what it is that they do, what their business does, why they do it in the way that they do it, and really genuinely exciting things like that. It's just fun. You get to experience what it is that they do on a day-to-day basis, and like I've got insights into the real estate market and um, tequila brands and stuff like that, and how those processes work, and laws and restrictions and requirements and hoops that they've got to jump through, as well as kind of the processes that they do on a day-to-day basis. Follow me for loads more tips, all of which is like stuff people would spend years and years trying to understand, and I get given it on a plate like every single day, and it's great. Um, but yeah, you kind of want to dig through a little bit here and kind of like steer the conversation. I mean, you want an overview level of what it is that they do as a company, but ask about pain points, problems, processes that they're doing as well. We'll dive into this in a bit more detail later on, but you just want a bit of a general overview of the business, what it is they do, and kind of how many people they've got, what those processes look like, and so on. So the next part is finding automation opportunities. So this is where you're going to dive into it in a bit more detail. So what are they manually doing? What's taking up time? What are the bottlenecks? You'll be shocked with how much you can automate once you get into this space and doing it on a day-to-day basis. There is boatloads of stuff you can automate and processes that you would never even think about. They can be fully automated, which is great. Yeah, you want to look through kind of like what tasks they're doing. What it's normally what the kind of like less senior members of the team get given to crack on with. That's really normally a really good place to start. But finance, accounts, kind of all of that kind of side, and billing, stuff like that, all of that normally can be automated. Then there's going to be processes that they assume that only they do. They can be automated as well. Follow me for loads more tips. I find this is also a useful point to kind of show some examples. We do get people come in saying like, we have an initial idea and they want to kind of talk about this idea and expand on their first idea. But it's not always necessarily the best thing for them. So about 50% of the people who come to me with an idea leave with something else because there's a bigger opportunity, more low-hanging fruit, and so on. Don't get me wrong, there's some people who come in and be like, look, this is doing my absolute head in, and that's where their biggest pain is, so you can solve that really easy. But yeah, that's kind of the general grasp of the process. If they come in and have no idea what it is that they want to do, I will go through what do you bottlenecks, what you spend loads of time doing. What would you like to never do again? That's normally a really good one. It gives you a really good insight on what they're doing. Depending on the size of the company, it's kind of normally like, okay, what is it that these teams are doing each day? What is it that's taking up the time for those individuals? And then you just kind of want to assure that your automation is actually going to provide some value. If you can sit down and break down an ROI with them, being like, this is going to save you 50 hours a month, you're billing out your time at $100 an hour, you're going to get $5,000 back a month for this. Like, it's a bit of a no-brainer then, and it kind of just keeps getting through the process. And the next step is to actually select one key automation. I don't normally like to do 73 automations at once just because none of them get done. Pick one, blow their socks off with that one, move on to the next one, move on to the next one, move on to the next one. Unless you're going in with a retainer offer and it's going to be like, look, these are all of the things you could automate. You get X number of hours of our time and we will sit and build all of these. Unless you're going to do that, I would highly recommend just picking one element, one thing that they will find extremely, extremely useful. Just doing that, uploading that, cracking on with that. Follow me for loads more tips, and then from there you can kind of talk about costs. I got to the point where I can quote people there and then, but normally kind of like keep the conversation going with this, especially if this is something you're new to. The next part is kind of scoping out the work. So once they've decided this is the one that we want to build with a bit of help from you, you can then start to actually dive into it. What does that process look like? What tools do they use normally? What kind of is going to integrate together? What doesn't integrate together? Some of this stuff will just be off the top of your head. Some of the stuff you might need to take away and do some research to find out how eBay's API works and stuff like that. But they're going to have a toolbox that they do these tests manually with unless they're starting from scratch. So like just acknowledge those, take part in what they're already using and how you can integrate this all together. Normally it's as simple as, are they on Microsoft or are they on Google? Is normally a really good foundation to start with, especially if you're moving data and sheets and stuff like that, because they're not going to be interested in Google if they exist purely on Microsoft and vice versa. So make sure everything's aligned and so on. This is normally where I kind of end the call and kind of be like, okay, I've got everything I need. I'm going to go away and do some research. From that, we'll have another call and kind of move that along the line. And this leads us on to step 8. So this is sending over a proposal and pricing. The main thing I've left in the middle of this circle is keep it clear and concise. Follow me for loads more tips. All of this needs to be just super clear, basic, bullet pointing what they're going to get as a result of working with you. And then we'll start at the top. So you're going to need payment terms. We charge 50% up front and 50% afterwards. You can do it however split you'd like. Then the next one's problem statement. So what is it that you're actually going to solve? I would normally start with this. Actually, I've picked the wrong place to go. But kind of like what is their problem? Underneath that, what is your solution and how that's going to fix it? Then scope out the work. So what each of these modules are going to look like. An overview of like, it's going to go from here, and then it's going to do this, and then it's going to do this. I'm literally talking bullet points. I'm not talking like pages and pages of documents. Then once scope of work's done, bit of a timeline. I would normally add another week onto whatever you're expecting it to be because stuff goes wrong. Throw the pricing in, and then at the end of the pricing into payment terms, and then kind of go around. So I always book a follow-up call with them straight away the second I send over this document, just so that they don't disappear off the face of the planet. Normally I say, I've got a couple of questions, can we get another call to go over this? This is normally when you get to the objection handling element. If you've done a really good job in the first call, you won't have any of that. They'll just be like, yep, sure, when do you want to start? But if you do get any pricing concerns, show ROI. If they've got any doubts, kind of show them what you've already done. There will be loads of smoke screens in here as well. I'm not going to bore you with this because there is sales videos on my channel anyway. So there's loads of stuff around that. Follow me for loads more tips. However, make sure you tick in there, confident in what they're buying. It's an okay price point, which you should be charging anyway. If not, just show them the ROI, because there will be a humongous ROI off the back of it. And then push through a kind of a firm decision on the next steps. Normally, I like to get logged into their mate.com account there and then. And that's it. So I hope that's helped. But yeah, basically, just do that and keep going through it. Next action's to kind of book an onboarding call. I don't necessarily always do an onboarding call. Sometimes it needs one, sometimes it doesn't. But making a start, really, collecting payment and going from there. I hope that was helpful. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe.